GTA 5 isn't actually a hard game. You can get through it without much experience and still finish the main story. The problem is it takes you way longer to complete objectives because you do everything the slow way, you don't get gold medals on missions, and in some cases you even finish the main story without enough money to buy any of the game's businesses. Today, with over 3,000 hours played and the help of the official GTA 5 guide by Brady Games, I've put together 45 tips that can take any inexperienced player to pro level just by watching this video. If you haven't played the game yet, don't worry, there are no spoilers. This video focuses on tips, glitches, and mechanics that'll make your gameplay smoother and better without missing any content and ending up with as much money as possible. And now that everything's pretty much explained, let's get started. And I want to let you know that the video will be divided into chapters to keep things organized. I might even add chapters directly in the YouTube timeline so you can easily replay just the specific part you need if you ever need to. Let's start first with tips for the game's campaign, the main story. First of all, create multiple save files. Throughout the game, you'll basically need to save a lot, but personally, I'm not a fan of relying on autosave. That's because sometimes while you're just passing through the map, like on your way to a mission or something, a random event can spawn, and some of those random events are actually pretty good, you know. Some give you money, others are just funny. If you rush ahead and then complete a mission using autosave, you might miss out on that event. So from my point of view, it's best not to use autosave. Instead, as you go through the story, make several manual save files, like every 3 or 4 missions, create a new manual save. Also, if you lose something or want to do a glitch at a specific part of the story, you can just reload that manual save. That way you have an older save and can pick up from there without starting the whole game over. This would really help people who didn't manage to get super rich but have a save pretty far in the game so they don't have to start from scratch. That would be awesome. The second tip is this: save the assassination missions for last. At a certain point in the game, for those who haven't played yet, you'll find out there's a mission you do for Lester, which is an assassination mission where you kill a character leaving a hotel. This assassination mission introduces you to stock market hits, and with that you can make your first big market manipulation by killing that character. After that mission, there are 4 more assassination missions. These 4 missions aren't required to finish the main story, only the first one, when Franklin meets Lester on the beach and does the mission called Hotel Assassination. So starting from that mission, the next Lester assassination mission begins at the car wash, triggered by the phone. If you see the phone ringing, don't start it yet, don't begin it now. Save that mission for after you finish the main campaign, because once you finish the main story, you can come to my channel, search for the video on how to get billionaire using Lester's missions, and with those 4 leftover assassination missions, you can reach up to $2 billion in the game. And it's no use doing the mission and then trying to replay it. That doesn't work, so you've got to leave those missions for last. Got it? Third tip is this: throughout the game, we have several heists. We've got the jewelry store heist, the Union Depository heist, and some other heists where the characters farm more money and stack up a lot of cash. And during these heists, there are a few things we need to do to get the best possible outcome by the end of the game. So here come the first tips. For the jewelry store heist, you need to first absolutely complete a Life Invader mission. And my recommendation is to take it slow a bit after the Life Invader mission so you can get a call from Ricky Lukens. Ricky Lukens is that hacker from Life Invader, and he charges really cheap to join the heist. So it's worth bringing him in for the jewelry store heist, but his call is kind of random, so if you rush through the game and go straight for it, sometimes you might get to the jewelry store heist without having gotten Rick's call yet. In that case, I recommend doing some side missions while you wait for the call so you can unlock this guy for the heist because he charges way less. The second character you can already use in the jewelry heist is Patrick McReady. He shows up in a random event pretty close to Franklin's first house. To unlock him as a usable character for the heist, you need to help him and his partner escape. Once you do that, Patrick will be unlocked for the jewelry heist too. He's not that cheap, but he performs well and is the best character to use in the jewelry heist. The third special character we can't use in the jewelry heist just yet. Actually, it's her, but we can use her starting from the FIB heist. That's Taliana Martinez. She shows up in a random event way up north on the map, up there. Once you unlock her, you'll see she charges an incredibly low fee, and her performance is simply phenomenal. It's way higher compared to other drivers, especially considering her fee, which is like half of some of theirs. Along with these 3 characters who are the best for the heist in terms of cost benefit, you also need to pick the best strategies for the heist so you can get the maximum profit. So what I recommend to you is to watch my video on maximum profit in GTA 5 heists. There's an exact sequence of characters you have to choose for each heist and also the method that will be used in each one. So if you're playing GTA 5 for the first time, when you get to a certain heist, like the jewelry store heist where you have to pick your crew and the approach, open my video, you'll watch the video about that specific heist, pick those characters, and you're good to go. The difference can be insane. If you follow the worst method throughout the whole game, you might end up with only 16 million by the time you finish. But if you follow the best possible method, you can finish the game with almost 42 million. So the difference is nearly 3 times. It's definitely worth following this tutorial. The fourth thing you should do is go on rides and do activities between missions. From the start of the game, we're introduced to new characters like Michael, Trevor, and Franklin. So ideally, between missions, you should hang out with the characters, mixing up different combos, Franklin with Lamar, Franklin with Michael, with Trevor, and so on. Because between missions, there are unique dialogues that you'll miss at some point. And with Michael, between missions, you can also do therapy sessions. And that's pretty cool because Michael ends up talking about some recent stuff that happened, which is great, like seeing his perspective on how the GTA 5 story is unfolding. These are exclusive dialogues you lose if you just rush through the game and keep pushing forward. And since we're talking about hanging out, the fifth tip is to switch characters after setting up a hangout. For example, if you're playing as Franklin and you schedule a hangout with Michael, but he's really far away, here's a simple trick. Go to the character menu and switch to Michael. When you switch to Michael, Franklin will spawn close to him, so you don't have to make that long trip to meet up. This works with any character as long as the hangout is just between two people. Now moving on to chapter 2 about the protagonist's special abilities. Each GTA 5 character has different special skills. Franklin's is related to driving, Trevor's to heavy shootouts and survival, and Michael's to precision and calculated shots. So when's the right time to use each ability? I'll also explain later how to recharge these bars faster. Franklin's special ability is ideal for controlling fast vehicles, taking sharp turns, escaping the cops, and correcting your trajectory during jumps. In other words, if you need to cross the map driving or cover a long distance by car, Franklin is your best bet because his special ability really helps with that. If Franklin's special ability bar is empty, just drift, drive against traffic, or drive at over 90% of the top speed going the right way. This will fill the bar faster and boost your skill level. But if instead of just crossing the map, you have to jump into a massive shootout surrounded by a bunch of NPCs, the best option is to use Trevor. His special ability makes him invincible, and every time you land headshots or something similar, his special meter fills up again. And if your goal isn't just to survive but to nail precise shots, like in missions that require high accuracy to get the gold medal, I recommend using Michael in that case. His special ability slows down time and his shooting accuracy is way better, making it easier to hit precise shots and score more headshots, which is sometimes required for gold. And the next tip about the characters is this: switch characters as soon as you can before dying. That's because once death triggers, you'll have to switch anyway. If you're about to crash a vehicle or flying a plane that's already messed up and about to hit the ground, you won't be able to save yourself, or whatever the case may be. If you manage to switch characters, just press the button to switch, even at the last second. This will avoid that you died animation and respawning at the hospital. Plus, it'll save you $5 grand. It's definitely worth it because it saves time and also saves you a bit of cash throughout the game. Now let's move on to chapter 3, talking about the characters' attributes. Their attributes are visible at any point in the game when you select the option to switch characters. You have a list showing all the attributes and a progress bar for each one. So how do you increase them? Stick with me and I'll show you. To boost stamina, you need to run, swim, and bike. That's the usual stuff. But there are some random events in the game that give you about a 3% boost when you complete them. For example, some bike theft events that you might think are annoying and useless. Well, if you help by recovering that bike and returning it to the owner, you automatically get a 3% increase. A lot of people didn't know this, but it's a pretty quick and solid gain. Now talking about strength increases melee damage, reduces fall impact, and helps your character take more damage. At max level, it also lets you climb stairs about 10% faster. I have no idea why. To increase your strength, it goes up about 1% for every 20 punches landed on other NPCs. Playing golf, tennis, and darts also helps. There's no clear stat on how much you need, but it does contribute to increasing it. In golf and tennis, the more strength you have, the more powerful your shots get. The fastest way to build strength is to steal a bus with passengers inside, lock the doors so they can't get out, climb on the roof, and keep kicking the vehicle to rack up hits. No need to chase pedestrians in the streets or raise your wanted level. This way your bar fills up pretty fast. It might be easier, but it can get a little tiring. Now, to fill up the stealth stat with this bar full, you can walk faster while crouched, make less noise, and reduce the distance enemies detect your character even outside stealth mode. To improve stealth, you just have to use stealth more. Basically, that's it. You increase about 1% of your bar every 45 meters traveled in stealth mode, and another 1.5% for every 2 stealth kills. The fastest or most effective way to max out your stealth is to hold your controller stick diagonally and let your character spin in circles right in the middle of the map with stealth mode on. That way you can go grab a coffee, hit the bathroom, or do something else and leave your character spinning there for half an hour or an hour. When you come back, they'll have been moving around in stealth for 30, 40, 50 minutes, and your stealth bar will be completely full. Just to be clear, these attribute tips I'm giving also work for GTA Online, so if you want to level up your online character, you can follow these tips and they'll work. The next attribute we're going to talk about is stamina. Stamina increases by about 1% for every minute spent underwater, whether you're wearing a wetsuit, using a scuba tank, or nothing at all. And here's the easiest tip of all. To max out your character's stamina, just steal a boat called the dinghy, which is located down at the bottom of the map. After you steal that boat, press the button to get into the water, and your character will automatically put on the wetsuit. Dive as deep as you can and just leave your character there. Like I mentioned before, stamina goes up 1% every minute underwater, so just keep your character submerged. Since they're wearing the wetsuit, they won't drown. Then you can go grab a coffee, get some water, chat with friends, open Discord, whatever you want to do. After half an hour or an hour, come back and your character's stamina will be maxed out. Now let's talk about flying skill. Flying at max level, you increase your skill by about 1% every 10 minutes of flight. It's pretty slow. Flight school is usually the fastest way to max out your skill because every medal you earn boosts it by 1, 2, or even 3%. And there are some special challenges where you can get up to 6% if you nail the gold medal, so it's definitely worth it. Compared to 1% every 10 minutes, the difference is huge. But if you're having trouble finishing flight school events, here's what I suggest. Steal any helicopter you want, press R2 and let the chopper keep climbing infinitely. Tie down the R2 button on your controller with a rubber band or something and just let the helicopter hover there. Since you get 1% every 10 minutes, you'll need quite a few hours to fully max your skill this way. But if you can't get through the flight school challenges that boost your skill super fast, this might be your best bet to improve your flying skill. It'll help reduce turbulence and all that. Just a quick tip from before, when you're flying planes or helicopters, always use Trevor if you haven't done flight school or gained skill with any other characters. Trevor has the highest default flying skill, so with him you'll get less turbulence, the vehicles won't shake as much in the air, and you can land and get around faster. It's way better with him if you don't have skill with the other characters. To increase your driving stats now, my tip is to always do a few things with Franklin because he can handle driving sections more easily. Besides that, there are a few other things you can do. The game gives you about 1% skill every 10 seconds of wheelie riding a motorcycle, so it might sound simple, right? But holding a wheelie for 10 seconds in GTA 5 is kinda tricky. In GTA San Andreas, it was way easier. You also gain about 1% for airtime with any vehicle or for landing perfectly on all 4 wheels. So when you're playing and make a clean jump landing on all 4 wheels, you also get around 1% skill boost. And lastly, there are some random vehicle theft events, and if you manage to recover that vehicle and return it to the owner, you can earn up to 5% skill increase. And the last attribute we have here is weapon skill or shooting skill. The fastest way is to head straight to the ammunition shooting range, where for each gold medal you earn 3% skill, silver medals give you 2%, and bronze medals give you 1%. There are several challenges for you to complete inside ammunition, and the quickest way is to rack up those medals since weapon skill reduces recoil, speeds up reloads, and improves overall accuracy. And since we're talking about weapons, let's move on to chapter 4, which is basically everything you can do at ammunition or anything related to weapons in the game. First, let's talk about an extra benefit you get every time you complete the ammunition shooting range challenges. Besides boosting your weapon skill when you earn gold, silver, or bronze, your overall performance in the challenges can unlock permanent discounts of around 15% to 25% on weapons. It doesn't make much of a difference if you're already a rich character, but if you're low on cash, it helps a lot. The next tip is that there's a mechanic to buy all your ammo at once. Sometimes when you're trying to fill up your weapons ammo, you keep pressing X over and over to top it off. But you can just press square and it'll switch to a different mode where all the ammo is already selected. Then after pressing square, just hit X and you buy everything at once. It might seem like a simple and well-known tip, but I'm sure some people don't know this. Another cool trick that I use a lot, and I know a lot of people don't know about it, is that you can zoom in the aim with L3 during a shootout when you're shooting at a character that's far away. You can press L3, or maybe it's R3, I got a bit mixed up in my head, and with that the character's aim gets a little closer. Even if you're using a gun that doesn't have any kind of scope or anything like that, this really helps when you want to land a headshot or improve your shooting accuracy or something like that. Here's another really cool thing that's in the game settings. These are the simple and complex aim settings. I'm not exactly sure why, but when you buy GTA 5, it usually comes with simple aim enabled. That means for basically every weapon you use, there's just a little dot in the middle. I think the only exceptions are the RPG and maybe 1 or 2 other guns, but I'm not totally sure. Other than that, pretty much all the sights look the same. But if you follow this path I'm showing, going into the game settings and switching the aim from simple to complex, all the weapons get different sights. The aiming reticle changes. For example, the revolver has a dot plus a circle now, whereas before it was just a dot. The shotgun has a wider reticle, showing that weapon has a broader firing spread. The grenade launcher has a different one, the minigun has another, and so on. Personally, I really prefer the complex setting. I think this change in the sight, especially visually, makes a big difference. The complex version might look more detailed. It doesn't automatically make the weapon more accurate, it, but I think it just looks way better in the game, you know, like way nicer, way more, like it just makes way more sense for that weapon. I don't know about you guys, but personally, I really like it. And here's a tip, even when you have weapons but get the chance, use stealth kills. Even if you're like standing behind the character and about to take someone out, you don't need to use a shotgun to kill the guy. Just switch the character to stealth mode and give him a headshot even with a weapon. This helps recharge Michael's special ability and can also help improve stealth, plus it stops nearby enemies from getting alerted. In Chapter 5, now let's talk about cars, Los Santos Customs, and driving in general. We're basically talking about vehicles here. The first tip for you is to upgrade your personal vehicles as soon as possible. Michael has a personal vehicle, Trevor has one, and Franklin actually has 2 personal vehicles. Actually, I consider Michael to have 3, right? His car, Amanda's, and Tracy's. You can customize all 3 and they'll still be available to you. Since these are the characters' personal vehicles, I think these are the ones we're going to use the most throughout the game. So it's worth boosting them up to make them faster, have better brakes, and especially add armor and bulletproof tires. Because when you're in chases, it'll be easier to lose the cops if you've got those cars already upgraded from the start. However, not everything is unlocked at Los Santos Customs right from the start. Upgrades are unlocked in 4 batches as you progress through the missions. The first batch of upgrades is unlocked after the mission Father-Son. The second batch unlocks after the Jewelry Store Reconnaissance mission. The third batch after the mission Dead Man Walking. And the final batch, where everything is fully unlocked, comes after the mission I Fought the Law, which is that race mission with Devin Weston's cars. So if you've already passed any of these missions, it's worth hitting up Los Santos Customs with your character's cars to upgrade them a bit, because that'll make your gameplay a lot easier. Next tip, which I think is only worth it once you're a billionaire in the game, alright? But since I'm already talking about cars, I'll just slip it in here. It's this. Buy the Los Santos Customs in Gran Senora. That's because after you buy that Los Santos Customs, every car you upgrade there with Franklin will get free tuning. This is really worth it because in GTA 5 we can store only a few vehicles. We have a lot of cars to buy and very little space to store them. So if you have a place where you can tune for free, it won't make any difference if you lose a vehicle. You can just buy another one and tune it up easier there. Totally worth it. Now, a tip very similar to that one about the complex scope and the simple scope is this. Raise your vehicle's camera while you're driving. There's a setting where you can increase the height of your vehicle's view as you drive. This is especially useful when you're driving really fast because when the camera is at the normal position, you have a limited view of what's ahead of you. But if you raise the camera, you get a better view of the vehicles coming your way, whether on your side or the opposite lane. And that makes it easier both for progressing through the game and for dodging the cops or obstacles in front of you. Definitely raising the camera is one of the main things you should do from the beginning of the game because you get used to it and enjoy it way more. Actually, this is the tactic I learned from watching speedrunner videos, which helps those guys drive fast across the map. And since we're talking about cars, I couldn't let this glitch go by, which is the following. Every time you're roaming around the game, whether you want to or not, you're gonna end up crashing your vehicles, right? And the car ends up all busted. And to avoid having to go to Los Santos Customs, there's a super easy trick to fix your vehicle by switching characters. Just be inside your vehicle. Let's say you're with Franklin and you crashed his car. While you're still in the vehicle, switch to Michael or Trevor, then switch back to Franklin right after. When you come back, Franklin's vehicle will be repaired. Most of the time the glass won't fix, but no big deal. The rest of the car will be good as new. This also works with planes and helicopters. So for example, imagine you stole the fighter jet from Fort Zancudo and you took 2 or 3 missile hits and that jet is about to crash. Before it crashes, switch characters, then switch back to it, assuming you've already lost your wanted level, of course. When you do this, the jet will be fully restored in midair. It'll be perfect. Another tip is this. Here on the channel, I have a video showing various vehicles that spawn in different spots in the game, and you can grab those vehicles for yourself. For example, I just mentioned the boat that comes with the diving suit, but often when you get to those spots, the vehicle isn't spawned. Then you can do a little trick to force the vehicle to spawn. Basically, you arrive at this spot where the vehicle should be and it's not there. Move a little away, save the game on your phone, then reload that save. After that, when you go back to the spot, most of the time the vehicle will have reappeared. Next tip, now talking about collectibles. One of the worst collectibles in the game, to be honest, is the unique jumps. When you go to do the unique jumps, do them with Franklin. That's because, like I mentioned before, Franklin has the best skill with cars and bikes. In other words, the best driving skill. This makes things a lot easier because in some moments you need to adjust the vehicle so the unique jump is completed properly, and that's where Franklin's special ability helps out in those final seconds to make sure everything goes right. Just like you have unique jumps with Franklin, the knife flight challenges or air bridge challenges, I always recommend doing those with Trevor since he has the best flying skills. And the ammunition challenges I mentioned earlier, do those with Michael because Michael is more precise. You'll be able to use Michael much more easily. One thing I found really interesting when I was reading the GTA 5 guide is that I thought it was some kind of trick players had come up with to travel the map more easily, but it's actually something the guide itself tells you to do. Here's the deal. When you're somewhere on the map without a vehicle or need to get somewhere far away quickly, whether to escape the cops or something like that, use the train cars. The actual book guide teaches that if you get close to a train and press the jump button, you can hop onto a car. It takes a little practice to get the hang of it, but basically if you wreck your vehicle and you're near the train tracks needing to run from the cops or just get into town close to the line, wait for a train to come by, because when you get near the tracks the train always passes. Then just hit jump to hop on and you'll be able to travel around the map easily. And since we're already on the topic of cops, let's move on to the next chapter, which is how to lose the police more easily. First tip, and this one the game actually gives you, but if I'm not mistaken it's pretty early on, maybe around the first or second mission, which is to hide in bushes during a chase. Certain bushes in the game don't even have to be big or anything. During a pursuit you can simply have your character walk into those bushes and your character will turn gray on the minimap. That means the cops can't see you there. If they get really close they might spot you, but generally they can run right past you without noticing. Next tip is to also hide your vehicle. If you park your car near or inside a bush, then get out and get back in, it triggers a glitch in the game. The car will turn gray on the minimap like you switched vehicles. So basically you park your car nearby, get out, your character turns gray, then you get back in, the car turns gray too, and then you can drive away like the cops have no clue that's the vehicle you were in. It's pretty cool, and honestly it's a really weird glitch. No idea why it works, but it does. And the next tip is basically almost a spoiler now, switching vehicles during a chase. If you're far from any kind of bush and you're running from the cops, as long as the police aren't right on top of you at that moment, just get out of your car and steal another vehicle and your character will turn gray on the minimap and the cops won't know you're there. However, if you get too close to a cop without crouching in the vehicle, you can still be spotted. So the next tip is to duck down inside the vehicle. A lot of people don't know this, but if you press X while driving, your character will lower his head. This works both to protect yourself from gunfire during a shootout in the car and also to make it harder for the cops to spot you. They have a bit more trouble if you pass by them really fast with your head down. A lot of times they just don't see you. The next tip is to mark escape points on the map. These escape points are especially useful when there are specific spots like the tunnel from the jewelry heist. A lot of people don't exactly remember where the highway entrance is that leads to the tunnel where you can easily make your getaway. So once you find that entrance or any other good escape route, set a waypoint on the map. When the cops are chasing you, head straight for that point and you'll be able to lose them easily there. Now in chapter 7, I'm going to share some tips about random events and properties in the game. First tip, whenever you can, do the random events, because random events aren't just for making money or telling stories, they can also boost your stats. Like I already explained to you before, bike events can increase stamina, vehicle related events can improve driving, some events help fill up your special ability, and other events unlock heist crew members like the Paki or Taliana Martinez event. So whenever you can, take on the random events that pop up on your minimap, it's totally worth it. The second tip is that there's a random event way out at the bottom of the map that happens roughly once a week in the game. It's a weed farm. Basically, you get there and you steal from this weed farm, you rob the profits from it. The earnings can range from like 10 grand up to 100 grand, so it can be really high. And the official GTA 5 guide in the book actually tells you to come back weekly to check the profits and rob it again. Why is this worth doing early in the game? Because as the story progresses over weeks or months, you get new chances to hit that weed farm again. If you wait until after you finish the game to rob the weed farm, the chance of the briefcase showing up again is really low, so doing this throughout the game makes things a lot easier. The next tip is this: buy the taxi company preferably early in the game. I know not many people will have the cash for that, but if you steal 8 briefcases worth $25,000 each from under the map, there's a glitch to do this. You can get around $200,000 to buy the taxi company right at the start. And why is this company important so early on? It unlocks some VIP missions for you, which are missions with special dialogues or unique interactions. They actually feel like real missions and are pretty cool, not like the usual taxi missions, but these missions are completely random. So when you finish the game and then buy the taxi company, unfortunately you almost never get to complete all 9 missions because they take a long time to show up and people usually don't play much after finishing the main story. But if you buy the taxi company right at the start, the chance of these calls popping up for you throughout the game is way higher, and there are some seriously awesome events where you help a character during a heist, or you drive a doctor's wife, if I'm not mistaken, who was being cheated on, and the wife goes and kills the guy on the spot along with the mistress. It's crazy. It's super important not to ignore these calls because sometimes if you do, the character won't call you back. I actually believe this part of the call mechanic is kind of bugged because there's no real way to make them spawn. It's basically totally random. And finally, in this chapter, let's talk about hunting in GTA 5, which you can do with Trevor after completing some missions with Cletus. The tips are pretty simple but will help you a lot. In short, you need to shoot the animals in the heart to get the best score when you send the photo to Cletus. And the second tip, which is also straightforward, is this: the best weapons to use for this are rifles, snipers, and pistols. So avoid shooting with shotguns, machine guns, miniguns, and so on, explosive ammo and all that. Always try to use those 3 weapons aiming for the heart and your performance will be way better. Now let's move on to chapter 8, which is underwater exploration and hidden money. The first thing you need to know is that there's a lot of stuff under the ocean in GTA 5, actually under the sea. But exploring the sea is basically pretty rough because when you go down there, it gets really dark, especially with the default settings the game gives you. So my recommendation is that when you go exploring underwater, crank up the brightness before you dive in. This will make it way easier for you to find briefcases, submarine parts collectibles, or other collectibles scattered around the map. This really helps a lot. Here's the second tip. If you're diving to do something and you don't have enough oxygen because you didn't grab the diving suit, just switch characters and then switch back to your original character right then and there. Basically, when your oxygen is running low, let's say you're underwater as Franklin, you switch to Trevor or Michael and then immediately switch back to Franklin. Franklin will respawn in the exact same spot but with a full breath of air. This might not help much if you're planning a long dive because it takes some time, but if you see you're about to leave the water and your character is about to die, it's definitely worth doing this glitch. Your character comes back with full oxygen, giving you just enough time to reach the surface and get out of the water. Next tip, still about the ocean like I mentioned earlier, is the money briefcase glitch. In GTA 5's ocean, there are 9 or maybe 10 briefcases. Honestly, I can't remember if it's 9, 10 or 11, but I do know there are quite a few briefcases hidden underwater in GTA 5. The smaller briefcases have around $7,500 and the bigger ones are about $25,000. There's a glitch you can do to respawn these briefcases multiple times in a row. So for example, if you need cash early in GTA 5 at least a bit, this will help you out. You just dive at this spot on the map right here and you'll find a $25,000 briefcase. As soon as you grab it, just surface, save the game using your phone and reload the save. When you do that, just dive down again and the briefcase will be there. If you get to the spot and the briefcase doesn't show up right away, like you get there the first time and it's not there, just follow the same process. Save on your phone, reload the save, and it's almost guaranteed the briefcase will appear. It's very similar to the car spawn glitch I told you about. And now we're moving on to the 9th and final chapter. I was sure there were 10 chapters, but I divided it into 9. I think I went crazy with so many tips. Here's the deal. The first one here isn't a functional tip anymore, but since I saw it in the GTA 5 guide, I decided to include it. It used to work back in the day, but not anymore because the T-Shop app was discontinued. Here's how it worked. You could use T-Shop to find collectibles. So if at some point while playing GTA 5 you downloaded the T-Shop app, linked it through Social Club and upgraded T-Shop, like with jokes and other stuff to increase its connection with Franklin, after that you could use T-Shop to search for collectibles. Actually, not just search to find collectibles. Once the character had advanced interaction with T-Shop, all you had to do in GTA 5 was call T-Shop, open the interaction menu, select the option to look for collectibles, and follow T-Shop until he detected the item. Usually he'd keep barking until you got close to the item and you'd just follow him as he barked more and more the closer he got to the collectible. This worked with the app called T-Shop app, but as far as I understand, that app doesn't exist anymore. So if you already did that upgrade back then, it still works, but if you didn't, it doesn't work anymore. There are some old videos online showing this working, but unfortunately Rockstar discontinued it and never updated any way to keep using it. So this tip only works for those who already use that app. The next tip is this. Imagine you're using a video online to find collectibles in the game, whether it's the spaceship parts or the Leonora Johnson letters, doesn't matter what. But you get to a point on the map shown in the video where you need to mark where to go, and on your map you haven't been to that spot yet, so that area is just a gray zone for you. You can't see it. There's a trick to make that part of the map appear. Basically, here's how it works. You place several points of interest close to each other right next to one another. Every time you add a point of interest, it reveals a small part of the map. If you put a bunch really close together, that region of the map becomes visible. Then you set the guide to take you there with the GPS. This really helps when your map is partially locked, especially when hunting collectibles. Now this next tip, I gotta say man, I discovered it like 3 or 4 years ago, roughly. I found it watching a video on the internet too, and I won't lie to you, I think it's one of the best tips, especially if you're aiming for 100% in GTA 5. I'm not messing around, I really think it's one of the best. It's about using the character's phone checklist. So how does it work? When we play GTA 5 nowadays, except for those playing on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, when you play GTA 5 today, you see some icons on the character's phone. One of these icons basically refers to GTA Online services. Well, this icon changes if you're not connected to the internet, meaning if you play on PS3 or 360, this icon is already different by default because you don't have the GTA Online connection anymore. And if you play on PS4, PS5, Xbox One but don't have an internet connection, this icon also changes, and it changes to an icon related to story mode called checklist. When you enter this app called checklist, you can access it on any platform. Just disconnect your GTA 5 from the internet, then entering this tab, you can see your progress in missions, hobbies and pastimes, random events, stunt jumps, collectibles and more, what's missing, what's not, and everything else. And guys, this helps a lot, you know, because when you're going for 100% in GTA 5, there's a stats bar inside the menu where you can check your progress, but you don't really know exactly what's done and what's left. However, by checking here on the phone, you can see pretty much everything that's still open and everything that's already done, and that makes things way easier. Once you've seen the checklist, you know what's missing. If you want, just reconnect your GTA 5 to the internet again, and then you keep playing knowing exactly what you need to do to hit 100%. Speaking of 100%, there's also a pretty cool thing inside the game, which is the Junk Energy Drink website. It's useful both for tracking unique jumps and for air races and knife flights. Here's how it works. You go to the in-game site, type in Junk Energy Drink or just energy if that's easier, and it'll show up. Then you click on that icon up there in the top right corner where I'm clicking, and a map appears with all the unique jump locations and more. Even if you're using an online guide, whether it's a video of mine or someone else's, to do the jumps, take a screenshot of this map because it helps you get a rough idea of how to reach the spot. Then when you get there, open the video and see exactly where you need to make the jump. And the last tip for you, tip number 45, is a technique for the second to last collectible. How does it work? There are massive collectibles in GTA 5 like the 50 Leonora Johnson letters or the 50 spaceship parts. These collectibles are huge, and traveling around the map only by car or bike takes forever. So what a lot of people do is grab like the buzzard cheat or some other vehicle cheat they think is useful and start using these vehicle cheats or invincibility cheat to make searching for collectibles or other stuff in the game easier. What's the big problem? If you have any cheats active and you reach a certain point where you unlock a trophy, if any cheat is active, you will lose the trophy. So the technique for the second to last collectible goes like this. Imagine you're hunting down the 50 Leonora Johnson letter fragments and you've been spawning a buzzard helicopter to get around the map faster while searching for those letter fragments. When you get to the second to last collectible, or the last one, I don't know, like you've done the 49, you're close to the 50 with the helicopter, and before you grab letter fragment number 50, you save your game, quit the game, and then load back in. This way the game resets the code mechanics, and when you pick up fragment number 50, you'll unlock the trophy for that collectible. But if you do this with a cheat active in that session, it won't work. So the technique for the second to last or last collectible is basically use cheats until you reach the last collectible or the point where you'd unlock the trophy in the game, save your game, quit, reload without using any cheats again, and then you complete and unlock it. You can even use this for missions, alright? Some missions unlock trophies, and it's definitely worth using this tip for those too. The coolest part is that almost none of these mechanics work alone, you know, like they're not just for one thing. For example, when you complete random events, you can boost your stats and unlock new crew members for heists. The ammunition challenges not only raise your skills but also give you discounts on weapons. Franklin's ability helps with jumps and escapes, while switching characters can fix cars, bring the protagonists closer, and even save you during underwater exploration. GTA 5 barely explains any of this, but when you put all these tips I shared with you together, the campaign feels completely different and you play GTA 5 like you've got 3,000 hours logged, just like me. Now I want to know from you, which of these tips did you already know and which one impressed you the most? I know there are tons of people with dozens or even hundreds of hours in GTA 5 who were surprised by something in this video, and if you enjoyed discovering all the tips I learned from thousands of hours playing GTA 5, now with the official guide, I really think it's worth checking out the full GTA 5 story told by me. I made a lot of connections that most people don't notice. The video ended up pretty long, almost an hour and a half, but it's totally worth it. So if you want to watch it, just click right here next to the yellow arrow. It's really good. I hope you liked this one. If you did, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. See you in the next video then. Take care and peace out.